But the one who's baffled him the most is Judge Cassandra Collier-Williams. Earlier this week, Serus Walters pleaded guilty to assaulting 3 men, including Dudley.
In dozens of cases, Collier-Williams gave defendants an unusual, some say unconstitutional, choice. Go to the voting booth or go to jail.
He ran towards me and kicked me in the ribs and my shoulder, and then multiple times in the back of the head.
Dudley suffered severe contusions and a broken shoulder.
This guy is unpredictably violent.
During Walters' bench trial this past Monday, Collier-Williams reduced his felony charge to a misdemeanor, allowing Walters to walk the streets of Cleveland once again.
I feel the judge lay us down.
My opinion was that unless I see a basis to not do it, then we'll continue doing it.
What's going on, guys? We got to react to this story about this woke judge allowing criminals to go free. Unfortunately, this is something that you see a lot these days where people are siding more so with the criminals. You got them doing it with illegal aliens, in some cases, literal killers, gang members, and rapists.
And a local judge in Boston ordered the flight grounded and has now trapped ICE officers in Djibouti with these savage monsters, having to guard and protect them 24/7 in a location with no appropriate facilities, no detention space, no detention beds, nothing, putting their lives in line. They have to watch them 24/7. There aren't enough resources in the location to ensure the safety of these ICE officers. Is this judge mad? Is this a lunatic? What kind of world are we even living in where we're even having this conversation?
Yeah.
Illegal aliens who invaded our country and murdered our people, and now we're sending them out? And a judge says no? That is a judicial coup by any definition.
As well as regular American citizens as well, especially if they're a part of some sort of minority class. In this case, young black males. Obviously, we all know that males in general are have a higher crime rate, especially a higher violent crime rate. Couple that with black male, then it's an even higher rate. And some people sympathize with these groups because they are familiar with some of the ways in which they go down these paths, such as coming from single parent homes, coming from communities where there was already crime and bad influence, drugs, all sorts of stuff. So they decide to be the woke brigade, the woke police, and allow these criminals to just go free, because it's just so sad that these people have to suffer from the consequences of what is inevitably their own actions, regardless of how they got there. And this is a prime example of that. It's really sad because a lot of people are literally afraid for their safety, thinking this person may come after them again because they have been freed after a violent attack on top of violent attack. Is crazy as hell. Let's get into this.
Victims who were viciously attacked by a Northeast Ohio man are demanding justice tonight.
They say he showed no remorse, yet the judge released him. 19 investigator Mike Mason broke this story and now has the latest.
This man, Serus Walters, was in court here earlier this week, pleading guilty to brutally assaulting 3 men, all within the same month.
So the man pleaded guilty as well and still managed to walk free?
However,
I'm a little confused.
The judge let him walk, and now his victims are outraged, and they want justice.
I'm ready to get in this cop car and face my time.
Listen. This is body cam footage of officers arresting Serus Walters last year for assault. Earlier this week, Walters was released from jail after he admitted to brutally assaulting 3 men.
I was fairly certain he was trying to kill me.
Walters viciously attacked David Dudley last year in downtown Cleveland. Dudley's a criminal defense attorney who is here on business. He represents clients from across the country.
I have been in front of over 1,000 judges.
But the one who's baffled him the most is Judge Cassandra Collier-Williams. Earlier this week, Serus Walters pleaded guilty to assaulting 3 men, including Dudley.
He ran towards me and kicked me in the ribs and my shoulder.
Wow.
And then multiple times in the back of the head.
Dudley suffered severe contusions and a broken shoulder.
This guy is unpredictably violent.
During Walters' bench trial this past Monday, Collier-Williams reduced his felony charge to a misdemeanor, allowing Walters to walk the streets of Cleveland once again.
Judge Williams didn't even put him on any kind of supervision. The prosecutor was shocked at that.
I mean, so this guy got no probation. I mean, what was the punishment? Does this document, hold on. Before we continue here, does the document say anything? It says, wait, hold on. The court hereby enters judgment against the defendant in the amount equal to the cost of this prosecution. So the person got fined. It says defendant ordered release as to this case only. So, okay, we don't know which of the charges this is related to, if it's related to all of them, because it sounds like the person has multiple charges. But with this being the case and you knowing that this is the case, I mean, shouldn't this person be held on like some sort of bail? Or, I mean, wouldn't this person be considered a flight risk? I mean, it is a violent perpetrator, so you would think that the person should be kept away from the rest of society so that they won't, commit additional crimes while further trials are being adjudicated. But obviously this judge doesn't think so. This is what happens when you have woke activists that are masquerading as law enforcement agents or actors of the judicial system. They're really just woke activists pretending to uphold the law when at the end of the day they have an agenda.
Charged to a misdemeanor, allowing Walters to walk the streets of Cleveland once again.
Judge Williams didn't even put him on any kind of supervision. The prosecutor was shocked at that.
Shocked, he says, because when Walters addressed the court, he failed to take responsibility for his actions.
He neither apologized to me nor any of the other victims he acknowledged attacking. He showed no remorse, not one shred of remorse.
I feel the judge let us down.
We'll call this man Tony. Surveillance video captured Walters beating on him in Tower City.
He broke my glasses, and also I had a few knots on the back of my head. I had a ring around my eye.
Tony says he's devastated by the judge's ruling.
She just gave him time served, which is, I think, ridiculous because I feel he's a menace to society.
After assaulting Tony, Walters was arrested and released the next day to attack once again. This time, he injured a man near Whiskey Island so severely, he required stitches.
I ain't do no crime, bro. We've been walking this whole time.
Once again, Walters was arrested and released. That's when Dudley turned to 19 Investigates for help.
There was no detective on this case until right before the story ran, when they found out it was going to run.
We obtained video from the city's surveillance cameras showing Walters stumbling down the street after Dudley's attack.
By placing that on your news report, we were able to find him.
Tony identified Walters from our report, and police arrested him once again. He was again released, then rearrested. This time, Walters spent 2 months in jail until earlier this week when Judge Collier-Williams let him go with time served.
The judge gave him the absolute...
2 months? Are you serious with this? Multiple assault and batteries and it's 2 months in jail? Guys.
Minimum sentence that was available.
He's going to be out there doing the same thing again.
Walters was arrested again yesterday, just 2 days after being released. He now faces some minor charges in Garfield Heights. We tried to contact Walters and the judge and both the prosecutor and public defender's offices, but so far we haven't heard back. In Cleveland, Mike Mason, 19 News.
These people, I don't want to hear nothing about people saying, oh, we shouldn't be disbarring judges or impeaching judges for the types of decisions that they make, because this should be criminal almost. Obviously, there's going to be some local laws that determine, what the minimum sentencing is. But, when stuff like this happens, people should look into their local municipalities and see what they can vote for to see about the possibility of changing stuff like this or bring stuff like this up so that people will run on changing these laws and being a little bit tougher on criminals, because this is just a joke. And apparently this person doesn't have just a history of stopping there. They also have a history of trying to force people to vote. When I said this person was absolutely a woke activist, I meant it.
Well, millions of us vote every year. Millions of others don't. But here in Cuyahoga County, one judge is under fire for ordering dozens of defendants to cast a ballot or face jail time. That's about to change after the investigator Tom Meyer demanded answers.
I am your voice.
At every election, the Constitution protects your right to choose a candidate. It also gives you the right to stay home and not vote. Your vote, your choice. Unless you're standing before Judge Cassandra Collier-Williams. In dozens of cases, Collier-Williams gave defendants an unusual, some say unconstitutional, choice. Go to the voting booth or go to jail. For Rayshawn Dawson, it was an easy call.
I just go to jail.
At his sentencing last May, the judge ordered him to register to vote.
I felt like it was a violation of my rights.
Dawson simply ignored the judge's mandate, despite the possibility of violating his probation.
I mean, it should be my choice if I vote or not. I shouldn't be in fear of going to jail or being incarcerated because I choose not to vote.
Legal experts agree. They say the judge requiring someone to vote tramples their First Amendment rights.
And the deciding not to vote is probably a very personal decision that a judge shouldn't interfere with.
Here at the Justice Center, the judge ordered dozens of defendants to the polls over the past 2 years. To stay out of jail, they had 30 days to register and then vote in every election.
The ACLU was the first to challenge the judge in 2015.
People choose not to vote, that shouldn't mean that they're sent directly back to jail.
The judge argued she's always issued the voting requirement with good intentions.
Our job is not just to tear down defendants. We're trying to build them up.
Collier-Williams stopped the practice last week after Channel 3 News began asking questions.
My opinion was that unless I see a basis to not do it, then we'll continue doing it.
The judge says no one was jailed for not voting and no one pressured her. Rather, constitutional concerns helped change her mind.
I didn't want to continue doing it if there is a possibility that perhaps it should not be done.
So now the person has a history of violating people's constitutional rights. And I also find it hilarious that the guy said, I'd rather go to jail than be forced to vote. I mean, I'm not sure what I would have did, but technically, if you go to jail over something like this, then obviously you could try to sue and you would be within your rights, because even though there is such thing as judicial immunity, when there's a constitutional rights violation, that overrules immunity that judicial branch people have, and it overrules most immunity when there's a constitutional rights violation. But guys, one of the points here is that it's not just about the presidential elections, it's not just about the congressional elections. Sure, I think that those can be extremely important in terms of the overall direction of the country, which is great, but what about where you live in your local community? Also be sure to go and vote in your local community, otherwise you're going to get these propagandists and these woke activists that are just going to let the communities be overrun because of preconceived notions, because of sympathies, biases, wokeness, whatever it is. They're going to allow your community to be destroyed or overrun, and no matter how much you complain or, you know, attempt to do anything about it yourself, they're going to retaliate even against you. Like, oh, you shot and killed somebody because they were trying to rob you. Well, your use of force was unjustified, so you're going to jail, not the criminal who kept getting released, right? So this is the type of stuff that happens to people. People find themselves in these situations all the freaking time. So it's one of those things where the fight doesn't stop just with the House and the Senate and the president with the executive branch. It starts at your local community as well. All across the board, we got to get these woke activists the hell up out of their position so that overall your local community and the rest of America can be made great again. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
I feel like basically that the truth was unraveling and the violation of people's rights. I feel like that's why she stopped doing it.